Mr. Guest, welcome. It's been a while.
The power's in the house.
Been a while since we've done one of these. I'm pumped for this one, actually.
I love that countdown clock. It just gets you in the right mindset and puts you into the performance zone. So, like when it goes off, you're like, boom, right. Let's get focused on adding some value and making a difference. So, it gets you pumped.
I will apologise now, though, and I totally agree, but I will apologise now because she has a real habit of snoring. She smells, she snores, but I love her to bits. If she gets too noisy, I'll kick her out. So just tell me to kick her out if you can hear her too much. We've got a few coming on. I think I've had a comment already. Mel's in the house. Hey, Mel.
Hey, Mel, are you okay?
Jacqueline's on. So let me quickly frame before we jump in this. Why we decided to do this live, having not done one for ages. I've been chatting to you a lot recently, taking advice, getting mentorship and coaching on what I should be doing right now in our business to really combat what's going on in the world a little bit. And you shared some right bombs. So I think it's really important that we go over that on this live. So let's do it.
Yeah, and the key is, Perry, none of these are going to be rocket science. And I use this expression a lot. It is forward to basics. And we're going to talk about that because that's actually our strategy number 2 today, or our game changer number 2. But there's no rocket science in what we're going to talk about for the next 20, 30 minutes. But it's just about sound principles that will set you up for success and make sure that you're on the front foot, not on the back foot. And that's the key for me. It's every single day. It's every single week. How do we, whatever's happening in the external world, how do we put ourselves on the front foot where we're in the driver's seat, where we're the ones with the choices about the value that we add, the difference that we make, and how we need to set our businesses up in order to ride out the environment that we're in. And my view, with every challenge comes opportunity. And that's what we'll talk about when we get into the first principle, because the first one is just, for me, is the most important. And my passion. We've done it as the 3 must-do business actions in the next 7 days. And that is the beauty about these. It is actionable stuff that you're instantly going to be able to take away and do something with.
Yeah, I love it. So let's jump into the first one.
Right, number 1, let's hit the ground running. You have to, number 1, protect your mindset. That is absolutely fundamental. And in doing that, and we're going to show a number of practical strategies of how you do that, but it is so easy. We talk a lot in life about marginal gains and how you hunt out those marginal gains and those 1% things that happen. The yang of that, everything in life is a yin and a yang, and the yang of that is be careful of marginal erosion. And the challenge is we are bombarded every single day with negative messages, and it's almost overwhelming. It's like we are drinking from a fire hose of negative messages that are hitting us every single day. And if you don't protect your mindset, either consciously or unconsciously, that marginal erosion will start to eat into your psyche, and it will send you in a downward spiral, and you won't even know that it's happening. So for me, the first most important thing is that immediately, as soon as you finish this live, you've got to go and put your filters up and your barriers up and start to think about how you lock out all the negative stuff. You get the factual information that you need in order to do what you do best. But what you're not doing is you're not letting the negativity that's out there in the world at the moment permeate your being and infect how you think, how you subsequently feel, and how you subsequently act. And it almost knocks you out the kilter of being able to add the value and do it, making the difference that you want to make.
Yeah, I think and when you and I spoke about this, I've always thought I'm quite a positive, strong mindset kind of person. But with everywhere you look, you're being back, whether it's on the news, whether it's on your social feeds, it's just like doom and gloom. And I'll probably say at times, even my mindset at times has been challenged. Like how much the last 2 years, how much has someone or the country got to take, I guess, particularly in our industry. And one of the things that really come up for me on that was to really carefully own and control your sources of information.
Spot on. Yeah. I'm very sorry. I just need to pause you there because I'm the same. I'm not immune from this stuff. And I said to Jane the other day, we got up and we did the usual ritual in the morning, kids giving them breakfast, Sky TV, Sky News, cable is on in the background. And I turned to Jane and I went, I've got to stop watching this in the morning because the way you start the day will dictate what you say will be the way. And consuming that negativity in the morning, and Kate Burley's great at it about putting everything in the negative as opposed to any inkling or any positivity. It absolutely. So I'm not immune to this stuff, and I'm really having to work hard on who do I spend time with. And your point is absolutely spot on. It's about how you choose to consume your information. And at the moment, I'm switching out from auditory and listening to the news and so forth. And I will go to the news channels that I've identified. Sky News in written format is not a bad forum to go to, but I want to pick up the headlines. I want to be informed, but what I don't want to do is become vested in that negativity.
Yeah. So how can you see? I'm more of a. You like to read. I'm more of a watcher, but I don't want to watch negative crap on the TV. So how would you go about actually doing that? Like selecting your sources, just looking around and finding out where to take your sources. Is it a silly question?
There's different weightings. So at the moment, and different people will put different slants on stuff. So I think, for example, Sky News with Kay Burley is really negative, so I just won't go there. There's others where the news might be more balanced. I do like Sky News on the iPad in terms of going there to pick up the headlines, because I can pick up the snapshots, get the information. I don't mind the Daily Mail either, but people have got different preferred medias. But all I would say is get your sources, and stick to the sources that are going to give you the factual information that you need. But don't spend your life reading it. And social media can be just as bad as well. So I'm doing a lot less with social media channels as well, and sitting there scrolling and reading all the stuff. It's just like, why? I don't want to burn the mental calories, and I certainly don't want to pollute my mindset with that stuff.
Yeah, do you know, I've recently had somebody else take over mainly posting and commenting on my social channels, because I think it's important to deliver advice and information that you want to share with, I don't think it is ignore it, because otherwise there will just be negative out there. And a really important thing that I think you said and you live your life by, and I've got a very similar thing since you working with me, is more being the pragmatic optimist.
Yeah, no, I know you call it a slightly different thing. You talk about being the positive realist. It's the same thing, whether you prefer the language of positive realist or pragmatic optimist. And here's the challenge, that if you're not careful, then what happens in life is you're picking up all this negativity, and then what happens is you start to filter that out in your conversations, in terms of how you lead your team, in terms of how you engage with clients, in terms of the social media you put out there. And what happens is you don't even realize that it's happening.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge. So you've got to be really careful about what you are taking in and then what you are projecting out to the world. And you can go back through history. For me, challenging times brings out the best in people. And we always talked last year that you didn't need to be a great estate agent to make money last year when the marketplace was so buoyant. You could be an order taker and you could be successful. Now we're going to find out who are the professional estate agents, who are the ones who can lock in the core, who are the ones who will go the extra mile, who are the ones who will pivot, who will really think about the strategies, who will absolutely are focused not just on the short term, but the medium and the longer term as well. And that's the most important thing for me. It's your opportunity to shine. It's your opportunity to add more value. It's your opportunity to throw the boomerang out there further. But this whole thing is not just about protecting your mindset. It's then about what you manifest and project out to the world. So you've got to find the balance of being the pragmatic optimist. Pragmatic because you've got to be grounded in reality, and you can't be delusional about what's happening. And if you're delusional, clients they won't trust you because they think you're just not in the right headspace. And likewise, you don't want to be over optimistic, because there are challenges and we've got to confront reality head on. So you've got to find the groove and find your lane where people can go, oh my God, Perry is so grounded in reality, but actually he's really thought it through, and he's still got half glass full mentality. And as long as you find the equilibrium with that, whether you're the pragmatic idealist or the positive realist, then I think that for me that's the mindset that you want to be in.
And I think that's really interesting, because I'll touch more on this in a little bit under the must do number 2. But I recently sent out my latest market update that I do every single month without fail, and I've done for the last 12 months. And interestingly, only from the 10th time doing it have we started getting some 10 months of doing it. It started to get some traction, the compounding effect, I guess. But this month I spent the longest time ever that I ever have to make it a very well balanced, and all because I'm no economist, I'm certainly couldn't be a chancellor, put it that way. But I'm just trying to.
You probably could, Perry, but where the bar is set with what we've currently got.
In my updates, all I try to do is balance what people are being fed in their brains by media with what's actually happening. Because us as agents have got a very unique situation: is that we can report what happened last week on the front line of the property market versus what happened 6 months ago when things get published in the media. And I
Yeah,
had loads of replies this week saying, thanks so much for your long explanation. It's really, and I didn't put in there the world's going to be fine, as in prices are never going to drop. I actually said, I think you'd be quite a fool to think that all this can't affect property prices somewhat. But
yeah,
how much? Is it 40% like some madmen are predicting? Is it 5%? Is it going to stay flat? That's what no one knows. And I got loads of replies by thanking for the balanced, quoting exact what happened on Saturday. 16 viewings on one house, 7 over asking price offers. That's what's happening. I'm not lying about that.
yeah.
Yet the media will make you think that all buyers have stopped buying and they're all renting. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, and it's a great point that you make. So let's making this really practical. So the two things that we've talked about so far about protect your mindset. So you've got to run your filter and choose your media sources really carefully. The second thing is put this hat on of being, whether you want to call it pragmatic optimist or positive realist. And just like Perry's done, when you're writing your bulletins that are going out, when you're going out to do valuations and listings and so forth, and advice meetings. Sorry, I've got to change it very quickly. Advice meetings. When you're going out to do your advice meetings, make sure that you're going in with a mindset and you're going, right, I want to come across as being in my personal brand, the pragmatic optimist. So whether it's written media, whether it's your verbal communication, and again, hopefully, one of the things Perry and I talked about before we came on here is we've got to demonstrate being the pragmatic optimist. We're not delusional. It's freaking tough out there at the moment, but it's all about your success is 80% psychology and mindset and 20% skill. And if you get your mindset right, then at least you set yourself up with a chance to go out there, nail it, and add value and make a difference.
And then, I keep muting my mic. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, no, perfect.
All right, so this bloody snoring dog, I'll kick her out in a minute. When you talk, if I get off my chair, so I'm kicking the dog out. And it's interesting that, isn't it, is that the 3 must-do business actions is the number 1 is control your mindset, control what you feed in your mind. And that is so important with anything because it all stems from mindset, I guess.
Yeah, it does all stem from mindset. And, you see, it doesn't matter about any elite performance, whatever it is, it's the mindset and psychology of success that comes first. And you can go back in time, Perry. Whenever we have challenging environments, people make good money in good times, in bad times. But focus on your contribution bowl, like you did. You put more effort into your market update on this one than probably you ever have because you want to put it out there. You've thought more carefully about the wording and what you position. You've made it probably longer than you normally would do because you really want to put a good explanation out there. People care about that stuff. And who are they going to come back to when they want advice and guidance? They're going to come back to the trusted sources that they know. And you talk about the report you put out, but Steph did a great post under at the weekend as well, where she was talking about all the noise and the chaos that's out there. So your guys are living it. They're living proof of it in action as well. So the final bit of protect your mindset is our job is to control the controllable. And I know we talk about that a lot, but what is within your circle of influence? What can you control? You can control what you do in your business every single day. You can control the choices of media that you have. You can control how you set yourself up and you set your days up for success. You can control how you engage and motivate and inspire your teams. You can control how you engage with both current and future clients, whatever stage they're at in the journey with you. They're all the things that you can control. And, with all the noise and chaos going on, hone right in because that stuff will make you feel overwhelmed. What is here and now, living in the moment with purpose, with focus, with resilience is about control the controllables.
Love that. I think it's really important to have that positive mindset, realistic mindset reaffirmed. It is going to be challenging, but let's break it down, action it out over the next 6 or 12 months, pretty much.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing I do, Perry, all the time is, when I'm training or I'm out running, I have a mantra that I use. and it's just like one word. It's just win, win, win. And like I was on the cross trainer at the weekend, and I did half an hour on there, and literally for 20 minutes, all I did was incant. When I was going like bat out of hell on the cross trainer, I was feeling knackered and everything else. I just went win, 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 and I had the dance music from Ibiza pumping in the background, and it was like I'm in the zone. But when you incant that, that positive mindset and that word win, win, win. By the time I'd finished my workout, I felt like I was like, Sylvester Stallone, or felt like I was, like Weaponer going into the ring, just to like anybody who got in my way was just going to get bowled over. And it's just, you own this. This is the most powerful computer that you have. This is yours. And don't let people pollute it. You own it. You set it up for success and program it with the right things that will enable and empower you to be the best that you can be. So I think that's number one.
And I think a quick point on that before we go on to number two is that when it comes to client, like now as agents, we have to be communicating even more than we, if we think we're communicating a lot, we have to add another 20, 30% of communication, because all that stuff that's going into your brain is what's going to be going into theirs. And unless they've got the actual person that can advise them properly, giving them the right balanced opinion and advice and situations and case studies and that kind of thing, then they're going to be left feeling very, very down and negative about the whole thing as well.
Yeah, and that leads nicely into what I think is our strategy number two that we talked about, want to talk about. And Perry, what makes this one really real is, because you helped me out, so thank you. But I'm selling a property in Leamington Spa at the moment. Great time to put it on the market, hey. But what was interesting was, going out there and having to source an estate agency to work with, find a partner. Oh my God, has it been an enlightening experience? And I'm actually packaging it as a case study and a boot camp over the 3 days. We're going to pepper it in, and it links so well into what I'm going to talk about now. And this hopefully will empower people and put them in the driver's seat, because life is not about rocket science. And if I share with you my experience and I went through all the little opportunities, none of them cost a lot of money or are expensive to do, but it is about going forward to basics. And notice the language in there, Perry. It's not back to basics, because you can't go back anywhere, but it's forward to basics. And it's how we become brilliant at the basics. And you've already talked about it. One of the brilliant at the basics is we need to over communicate with our clients and customers more than ever. And that's existing customers, but also in the authoritative leaders in our marketplace, by putting out our newsletters and so forth and our market updates. We need to be throwing the boomerang further out there. We've got to over communicate. So for me, it's about an over communication strategy, not a communication strategy. But honestly, and when I talk about forward to basics, I went out to 4 estate agencies, right? 2 of them ended up going out valuing the property. One of them came back and said, "Royce, I'll send you my proposal by tomorrow night." Like literally, tomorrow night came, proposal not in. Another one sent me a proposal and it came on an email. That's all it was. It wasn't in a proper proposal laid out. It was in an email. I had to chase up the other company to get a proposal in. Then the company who sent me the proposal, because they've been out and valued the property as well, they never followed up. Not to this moment have they ever followed up. So why would you go out? Speak to me, do your research, go out and do an advice meeting, do the valuation, send me through a proposal, albeit the proposal was shit, but send me through a proposal and then not follow up. I mean, what's all that about? So when I talk about forward to basics, you've got to get the basics right in your business, because the opportunities are there. But if you don't capitalize and make sure that you're brilliant at the basics and you've got your foundational blocks in place, and I guarantee I could go through and I could share, 15 examples of just where, and even the agency I've gone with, they're not great. The bar is low, but I'm packaging it all into a case study. So I think this is an opportunity for all of us to walk through our business, go forward to basics and say, how brilliant are we at the basics? How consistent are we? And getting the basics right will differentiate you from the competition, because they ain't doing the basics.
Yeah, that's massive for me. And it ties in a lot with, it's the time to go through, I guess, like a tangible thing that you and I have done in Power Bespoke is to totally review our P&L and our costs. Like, is it a must-have or is it a nice-have? Are the internal standards being adhered to, like 10 a.m. latest next day follow-up? And but yet you're spending all this money on Facebook ads, for example, like that to me is what's going to really help businesses, and certainly ours, through these next couple of years, I think.
Yeah,
Forward
I mean,
to
my
basics
property's been on the
massively.
market a week and a bit. I've not had one phone call from the estate agency.
Wow, no, that is shocking. To be
What is
fair,
that about? Not
yeah,
one. Oh, this is how it's going. I know there's a booking viewing happening this Thursday because I got an email through from them, but I've not had a call going, this is where we're at. You know, when they put it on Rightmove, I went on Rightmove to look at it because it sent me a message saying your property's just gone on Rightmove. Went on there. There's like crosses on a certain bit where it was the lease and the ground rent and the other bits. They haven't put the details in, so I had to send an email back to them saying, you haven't populated these bits. Oh yeah, sorry, that's my fault. Like, really, guys? So when
yeah,
it's
it's slapdash, isn't it?
it's the basic stuff, the bread and butter. But your point's absolutely right with some of the stuff you talk about. It got to get forward to basics. None of this
And
is rocket.
that's why I don't think it's going to be that hard. Like the next couple of years, or we'll cover it a lot more on bootcamp. But it's not like you need a secret sauce. It's like you need to cut out all the stuff that's not tangibly winning your clients, growing your business, and get better forward to basics. And we started doing it over the last 6 months, and we've really already seen an uplift in a lot of the internal metrics and internal marketing. We'll go on to in a minute that we've been really focusing on.
Yeah, and this will come on to, because the big secret 3 or strategy 3 you want to share is, you know, stop your external marketing and nail your internal marketing, which we'll talk about in a moment. But just on a point that you talked about there, you talked about one of the things that we always do at Power Bespoke. This little baby here, some people will be familiar with this. This is my business growth plan on a page, which talks about 6 things, you know, revenue, profit, cash. And even more so than ever, we need to be focused on, you know, driving our profitable revenue lines. You know, and I was having a conversation with one of the estate agents I worked with the other week, and we were talking about, you know, you know, do they hold the nerve on their price and they've got an average of 1.13 in terms of their fees, or there's a competitor in the marketplace that's going out there at 0.8 at the moment. So there's a whole conversation about, you know, volume versus margin and where you are with that equation. And there's no golden bullet with that. But what we did talk about was actually, you know, there's different ways of skinning the cat. Could you go at 0.9%, for example, and have a performance-related kicker that if you sell a property above this price, I get 10% of the kicker? And suddenly that was like, so that allows you to, yes, you can still compete, but what you're not trying to do is price match other people because you don't want to drive down your value. So there's different ways of doing things. You know, we talk a lot, don't we, Perry, about you know, what's the opportunities going to be for auction, for example, as opposed to traditional resi sales. What can you do in auction? Because actually, your time to get money in and generate cash is going to be far quicker.
Massively important, yeah. Just on that, like, there's no better market like today to have a performance fee, because it's not like houses they might not fly over asking price or fly over than you expect them to get right now, but at least with a performance fee, clients will be more vested into it. Say, fair dues, if you think it's worth 500 but you get me more than that, happy days, I'll share in that uplift. But if it's only now worth 500 and not 525, then I'm not quite keen to share in the happy days. And the same with auction. We've got three committed transaction, I think, is going through right now, where the buyers are still really keen to reserve properties. They paid deposits on them on offer acceptance, and they've promised to exchange in 28 days. Now that is much quicker, because at the minute the time to exchange, I'm sure every agent watching this, is increased massively, with solicitors and mortgage companies taking ages to do everything. So those little things, we'll go a bit deeper at bootcamp, but really important to be doing them.
Yeah, and you know, because you helped me out with thinking about where we pitched my property. And in fairness, you came up with the idea about, you know, they wanted to sell it at 325. You'd done a piece of research looking at what the average properties are sold in there for the last 12 months. And then there was one which had recently just sold for 299 or whatever it was. And of course, if you don't hit the 300 grand threshold on Rightmove, if you're not searching above that, then you're going to lose out potentially all those buyers. So we ended up going with a range of 300 to 325 on the property, offers over 300, and a range of 300 to 325. But I purposely said to the guy, if you think you can get 325, here's what I'll do. I'll take you 1% up to 310. And if you get above 310, I'll give you a 10% fee profit on anything that you deliver above 310. It's like, we don't need to do that, but that'd be brilliant. And my negotiators would really like that. And thinking, this is what, people are just not thinking like this. And I'm happy to share in the upside potential. But if in a tough market, you don't want to lose out, and I get the bit about volume and margin, and this is the reality being the pragmatic part. If you're sat there and your stock's low and you're thinking, Jesus is an opportunity, but people are price undercutting, then don't necessarily go to 0.8 because we'll never go there. Go to 0.85 or 0.9 and then do a kicker where you do a performance fee over and above, and then you'll still win the business, and then it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah. I think it's like you can't, I'm a massive advocate for, getting great results for clients and charging a really fair fee for it. But with the volume there will be opportunities where you've got to be pragmatic in your decision making. It's got to be a business decision rather than oh no, I don't get out of bed for less than that. Like you might end up being the one with no properties. So
and boot camp. The one thing I want to nail at boot camp is, because I'm doing this loads with clients, this model, and I want to go through this, and I want you and I to really tailor and go through the various levels of this and go, these 6 growth levers, how do these apply to your estate agency business where you are? What are you going to do to drive the revenue line? What are we going to do to get your profitability still there? And how do you manage your cash effectively, understanding particularly with your core traditional resi sales? So we'll talk about your proposition mix and all those things in there. And then how do you look at the other growth levers that will sit underneath? So, people will walk away with that absolutely nailed. So strategy 2, forward to basics. Be brilliant at the basics. And also, when you do drop the ball, which inevitably happens, don't do what most people do, which is elongate it and just make it worse. Be brilliant at the basics and be heroic in recovery. That's my line. So when you do drop the ball, fix it quick, go back and tell the client what you've done, and then move on. That's your opportunity to really build loyalty.
Yeah, love it.
So what are we doing on number 3, Mr. Power?
Well, this is a bit of my one, and it's one I'm really really passionate about at the minute, because I think this market needs technically brilliant estate agents. And so on a higher level, that means it needs to be brilliantly operating estate agencies. It's like, or any business, it's like cutting out your vanity stuff or the stuff that looks good, but you haven't actually nailed the basics, forward to basics. We give some real life examples, right? We were doing loads on Google ads and Facebook ads and YouTube ads and all this cool stuff that is exciting because it ain't boring. But while I was over there doing that, I realized that our internal marketing metrics of things like buyers viewing houses that have got houses to sell themselves had dropped to only 22%. Now, 22%, I'm sure if a lot of agents look at their figures, probably isn't too shabby. But my internal metric is it needs to be 50%. For 10 people that call in wanting to view a house and have got a house sell themselves, there's no reason why you shouldn't be in the living room of 50% of those to just give advice for when the time comes. And so with that in mind, I'm like, damn, I'm doing all this cool looking stuff, but actually I need to fix the root problem, which is that. Same with people that are on the market currently. We're all doing touting potentially and switcher strategies, spending money and time on delivering stuff or posting stuff or door knocking on people's doors, when actually, when you look at the internal metric of the people we can just pick up a phone and say, hey, I'm seeing a client near you on Thursday. Should I pop in and give you some advice about your sale? The conversion rate was tiny. Now ours was at 16%. Now that sounds shocking, but if they've got an estate agent, then maybe a lot of them may well be happy, or they might have just gone on the market, might be tied in for 6 months, like a lot of agents are doing right now. But our metric for that is 20%. 2 in 10. It's not a massive ask, I don't think. And it might be 8 weeks after they've first contacted you. So it's your internal marketing. We'll just give you a few more to make some notes on, but we'll go deeper on these in and how we've increased ours really well at Bootcamp. An interesting one that I come across or that I designed was total number of sales ever to advice meetings from recommendation. And so we've sold about 675 properties, and I've put a really small metric in place that I can track and monitor of 2%. So about 14 appraisals a month need to be coming from people that have dealt with us historically. Now, next one's completion to 5-star reviews. That needs to be 80% target. And another really quick one, client NPS score. I'm a massive fan, Net Promoter Score. I know there's various metrics out there that you can use. I just like that simplicity of the one question. But our target is 90 plus, which is a massively high Net Promoter Score. This is clients of ours at the end, 2 weeks after they've completed on their sale. So it's not like a week into marketing once they've had loads of viewings and are really happy. This is right at the end of the journey. And we're at 90. Buyer as well, that's slightly less. So my target on that was 80 plus, because unfortunately at times we might need to get a higher offer on a house, and a buyer might need to be gazumped, or sellers might say, go back to my current buyer and ask him to pay more. And that really puts a bad taste in the buyer's mouth, but we have to do it as agents. And ours 83. So to have an 83 Net Promoter Score from buyers and 90 plus from sellers is huge. So it's stuff like that I think, until you start doing YouTube ads, which I've stopped all mine because it's right to do so before I've fixed these metrics, which are free. It just takes time and effort and focus. Then I'll go back to probably the Facebook ads. We're now internal. There's no point in getting more leads if you ain't converting at a decent conversion rate, the leads you've got already.
And Perry, just pause you there, because that is massive for you, because you have always been a champion of Facebook ads, funnels, campaigns, and all those. So yeah, I found this quite cathartic when you talked about this and when you started to go through, and I love the differentiation you talk about between your external marketing and your internal marketing, and your acres of diamonds that you've already got there. And how you really focus on those internal levers. And what we absolutely need to do at bootcamp is nail those, so people go away and go, right, these are your half dozen or dozen internal levers. And until you've got these nailed, it's almost like don't pass go on the Monopoly board. Get these where they need to be, get your people aligned, start doing the right things with these. And it probably dovetails, and I know you've been doing this for like 6-9 months now, but it dovetails even better, doesn't it, with a tightening marketplace where you want to make sure that you're getting the return for every pound that you spend. There's a double whammy with this, because not only is it the right thing to do and the smart thing to do, but actually it's going to save you money as well in terms of with your potential marketing costs that you've got anyway.
I think it and you're right. I mean, it was a real discussion with myself, because I'm like, I think the digital stuff can and does work. I'm not disputing that. But it also costs a lot of money. If you spend $1,000 or $2,000 a month on the ads, you've got someone to run the campaigns, which can cost $1,000 or $2,000 if they're really good agencies. And it does work. We've banked some serious fees from when we were doing it. But that makes, in my view, a good estate agent or a good estate agency. What makes a great agency is one that can turn all that off and still grow growth and profitability. Because when Zuckerberg quadruples the cost of a Facebook ad, or YouTube cost per lead acquisition doubles, you're not. Whereas if you've got buyers coming through the door because you've got houses to sell, they've got a house to sell themselves, and you advise your way to them as a client, helping them find something, helping them put a strategy in place to get the best price. That to me is a better, good business. And then sprinkle the ads on top. I'm doing more organic stuff now with social. I'm doing a lot more reels, which are working really well, because that's the growth area that can be done organically. So I'm not saying turn off all activities for social, but I'm definitely $3,000 a month better off by not pumping it all into the ads, when actually convert, depending on what your average fee is and your average conversion from advice meeting to client, it's all those kind of figures I think you really need to be optimizing.
But I think it's great, isn't it? And I know we're going to do this at bootcamp. It's like turning your marketing on its head. And the last thing you should be doing is your paid digital. And actually the 2 layers before that are get all your internal marketing right and the low-hanging fruit that you're already is happening in your business every single day, but are you really optimizing? Then get your organic digital going right, especially with video and so forth. And then your third layer is your paid digital, and only gets you paid digital when you've sorted out the other 2 first.
Yeah, it's like a priority order, and I'm just stripped back a little bit because the metrics weren't where we want. And it's not extortionate. I'm not saying we've got to convert every person into an advice meeting that's got a house to sell. 50% is fair. I'd even probably be happy to settle at 40. We're at 25 at the minute, so we've got a lot to break up and put back together and find how to do it better, because it can be done for sure. It's just what you're saying, when you're saying it, how you're saying it, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, you know, my passion for client referrals as well, which is what's peppered throughout the whole of this. You know, and human beings, our animal instinct kicks back in that we always hunt in packs. And the reality is, your circle of friends, when you move house, guess what? Probably a lot of your friends are going to be doing it at a similar time. And you miss the opportunity just through those, you know, proactive seed plants around friends, colleagues, referral opportunities that you can also plant the seeds of.
And it comes back to, no doubt we'll chat about it again at boot camp, but it's what would you do if you were to become a 100% referred business, right?
Yeah.
But the step before that is you can't labour that point if your net promoter score is only 40, because you're trying to get people to recommend you when they're just not happy. That one question is that they said that they wouldn't recommend you. Good thing, once I've stripped it all back, realised that 90% of people are literally at a promoter, net promoter score, 8s, 9s, 9s and 10s. Now, fine, let's motivate them to help us grow, help their friends, and help themselves at the same time. So really powerful. Strip it back, forward to basics, then start doing your cool reels and ads and funnels and stuff. And
go on, sorry.
The great thing with is I've turned it off, but it's all there ready to turn back on again. Like a funnel, once the funnel's built and you get leads in, ads are there, it all works. It just, I wasn't happy knowing that we're doing all that, but our happy conversion to advice meeting was like 16%. It's just not that's not good enough. That's not proper estate agency, in my view.
And you're right, where focus goes, energy flows. So, you know, almost think about it as 3 taps. You've got your internal marketing tap. In the middle, you've got your organic digital tap, and then you've got your paid digital tap. And, you know, what we want to do is help you set all 3 of those up. So at any one time, if you really wanted to put your foot to the metal, you could have all 3 taps flowing. But actually, there's a sequence in which you want to do those and get your internal marketing right and get that flowing. Then you can move on to your organic digital, and then you can move on to your paid digital. I think, you know,
like in the digital side, I'll go over it more and I won't labour it, but I've just held off for months setting up a TikTok account, right? Because I just didn't want to confuse myself with another social media platform. But social media is important for any business. It just shouldn't consume. It shouldn't be your be all and end all, right? So I thought, right, let's set up a TikTok account, see how that goes. An advice video I shared gets 140,000 views in 48 hours. It kind of went viral. It kind of went in the trend. Now, to get 140,000 views on a Facebook ad is going to cost you thousands of quid. So that was free. That was, you know, 15, 20 minutes creating it. Because the advice in it really popped with people, it went far and wide. And I've since had messages from people that have commented about it. Not had any direct clients sign up from it, but it's just that 15 minutes a week. Do one advice video a week, get it out on social. That's your organic social done. Move on to converting your database.
Yeah.
Love it.
Could I just share a story with you, because then we're going to wrap up. Talking about your net promoter score and where you set the bar. I always remember a good friend of mine, Chris Brindley, who used to be the MD at Metro Bank. And if I said to you a good building society, who would you say?
Building society, what, a bank or the same thing?
No, building society, nationwide.
Yeah.
So nationwide building society, revered as one of the best building societies. Net promoter score, 58.3. If I said to you a good online bank, the first online bank that was ever created, a spin-off of HSBC, who was it?
First Direct.
First Direct. First Direct net promoter score, 64.8. Metro Bank, net promoter score, 85.3. And I always remember Chris Brindley going to one of his stores. They don't call them branches at Metro Bank. They call them stores because the whole model's built on a retail model. I remember Chris Brindley going to one of his bank branch, his stores, where his net promoter score for the store manager was 92%. And Chris said to him, he said, your net promoter score is 92%. What are you doing to increase it? And the guy went, why do I need to increase it? It's 92%. The company average is 85.7 or whatever it was. And he went, okay, listen, we're doing for our local charity, our sponsored charity, we're going to do a parachute jump. And we've got 100 volunteers we need from Metro Bank. Do you want to be one of them? And the guy looked at him and said, yeah, that sounds like a pretty cool thing to do. He went, yeah, no problem. I'll put your name down. He said, we've got the parachutes already committed from a company they've sponsored to give us the 100 parachutes. And when I spoke to them, they've got a 92% accuracy rate in packing the parachutes. So I said, how are you feeling now about jumping out the plane? Might you just be one of the 8? And it's a bit back to the point you make about, it's about standards, it's about excellence, it's about where you set the bar and the demands that you place on yourself. And I tell you what, you will pay for your attendance at boot camp tenfold over by coming, working through all the internal marketing metrics that we do, understanding where the baseline of where you might be today, where we're going to set the bar with you. And if you just focused on those 6 or 7 key strategies, that'll pay back your attendance at boot camp tenfold. It's about where you're setting the bar and where you set the expectations and the demands that you put on yourself and the service experience that you want to deliver for your clients every single day.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I think it's really powerful stuff that we're going to go over. And I know
any comments from anybody in the field, Perry, or has anybody put anything in?
We've got a comment from, I can't see their name because that's how it comes in, but someone said poor doggy. I think when I was talking about the dog, obviously, I don't think they were talking about you, but but she's not poor at all. She eats for England. Someone said, oh my God, I think that was about when you're talking about your agent. And someone said, do they know who you are? Does the agent know who you are?
No, they didn't.
And maybe, see, you should have flexed some muscle and they might have up their game a little bit. But the issue is, you shouldn't need to do that, should you?
No, but I wanted it to be, because I want the case study for boot camp, because I want to walk through it stage by stage. I've got all the documents, I've got everything. I want to share it all as a case study because it is brilliant.
Yeah, I've got to say, those proposals you sent me were just 1980s called, and they want their proposals back. It's shocking.
Oh, God, they sent me a form that they wanted me to complete with all the details, the property details. Sent me as a PDF. And I sent a message back saying, can you send me an online version that I can just fill in? Oh, we haven't got one of them. And I'm like, you are joking me. There's this like 10-page form that they want me to fill in. They want me to print it off. They want me to fill it in and then I have to scan it back in. Are you serious? It's like, come on, we're in the 21st century here. It's like, so I've got all this packaged up. So I deliberately didn't say anything because I wanted it to be a good or a raw experience, a natural experience, so I could take the learns and I could feed it in. So I think, Perry, we've done 43 minutes today. Hopefully for everybody who's seen this and whether they watch it now or whether they watch it on backplay, now there's 3 key things that we've absolutely nailed. Own your own and protect your mindset and run your filters. Become the pragmatic optimist, and any comms that you're doing face-to-face, written, make sure that you have got the balance of the pragmatic optimist or positive realist, as you call it, and focus on controlling the controllable. Go forward to basics, walk through your business and make sure you've got all your foundational building blocks right. Get all those nailed. And then I love your whole slant around, the low-hanging fruit. Get your internal marketing nailed first, then focus on your organic digital, then look at paid digital. But there's a sequence in which you do this. And not only will it help you drive the growth of your business and make you more resilient, it'll actually save you money, particularly in the climate that we're in as well.
Yeah, because that kind of business works in any market because you're not reliant on any Facebook, Googles, YouTubes, and you're just a good operating business. And then you throw on the marketing on the top. Awesome. Did I just shout into my microphone?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Balls. I thought it was muted and I was chatting to my dog to stop snoring, but she's not. Anyway, we'll let everyone get on with their afternoon.
Brilliant. Guys, hope you enjoyed it. As always with Perry and I, what's the one golden nugget, the one thing that even in this kind of 43 minutes that you are committed to go away and do? We like to be the Ron Seal. It does what it says on the tin. And we said 3 must-do business actions in the next 7 days. Practical, actionable stuff that you can go and take away and do straight away.
So leave it in the comments as well. Share in the comments your one main golden nugget would be awesome, just so we can see and hit share.
And if you've not booked onto boot camp yet, we are now starting to drive up the awareness of it. 16th, 17th, and 18th of November. It's going to be awesome. And if ever there was a time where you need to get to the balcony and really think about your growth plans, your strategy, build your resilience, get your mindset right. And literally, we've got 80% of new content that we're going to be doing at this boot camp. So if you've not booked your place, make sure you are there. It's going to be an epic 3 days. Perry and I are going to bring our A games. And yeah, there's loads of people already booked on. So I'm not sure how many spaces you've got left. I think it's about 4 or 5, and then we are full. So don't miss out. It's going to be epic. Put your one thing in the group so we can see your comments, so we can see what your one thing is that you're taking away. And Perry, thank you as always.
Likewise. Cheers, Big G.
Thanks for bringing your dog as well. Please do not bring your dog to boot camp.
Just as we were starting, she wasn't snoring, and we start, and she starts falling into deep sleep and starts snoring. Anyway, I'll end the broadcast. Thank you very much. Lovely to see you, and I'll see you soon.
Guys. See you soon.
Take care.